most of us aren't taking European vacations and things like that. And I'm not saying that the rest of the town is not hurting either, because there is a lot of sentiment sometimes when people down the pond try to say that, you know, they don't care about us and da-da-da-da. And I don't want to feel like that. Can you put up that slide that has the percentages going across? So one thing I wanted to reiterate what Bob said is important. Another thing what John said is important, that when it comes to a vote, there's only a small amount of people that are residents that are going to be voting on this, and the rest of the town, sure, they're going to, if they had to choose between whatever the percentage was going to be, $91 or $191 a year, they're going to choose the lower. I understand that's not something that the public is being allowed to vote on, what the split is, but the split, $91 versus $191 is going to mean what or what to these people? When you say that the splits that of what it's going to be on an override on the general public, it's going to be $91 a year if it's an 80-20.
So 40% would be double that.
So it's going to be, if it was 60-40, it would be $182.
Right.
Okay, $182 a year, and the 60-40 would mean instead of $20,000, it would be what?
Right up here we have a 58-42 split.
So okay, so 58-42 is $14,000. Okay, 18 or 19.7. So, you know, if the sewer comes in, and I want the sewer to come in, and you get assessed a betterment on your property, you're going to choose the lower one, right? I mean, obviously you're going to say, if I have to have it, I'm going to choose the lower one. That's the one I'm going to try to get the selectmen to vote for, the $14,000. But I'd like to see that as what it is, the $14,000. Can you swallow that? I mean, you're going to get that money back. And the thing is, like, it's easy for someone to say your property's going to be worth more, but you're not going anywhere, right?
I'm not moving.
I'm not moving. I'm going to stay there.
I'm not selling my house. So
right. You're going to get the value increase, just like when somebody puts a sidewalk in front of your house. All right. So the points I want to make, and then I want to get out of here. I don't want to take up everyone's time. So we have septic systems that have been, of houses that have been sold when people do move. We've got 3 tight tanks on the pond now, which is a tight tank is when you just basically have almost like an oil tank. Every drop that comes out of your house goes in that oil tank, gets pumped every month. It's a couple $100 a month, okay, a month. And we have several empty houses because of failing septic systems. I do believe it should be a more equitable split, and I think it will be tough on the businesses, but I don't think that the difference in the override is going to kill this thing, where it's going to really put a huge burden on the individual.
Thank you, Jen. At this point, it's almost 10 o'clock. I think that, you know, first of all, on behalf of the board, I want to thank everybody for participating this evening. This is a very, very good turnout. We've got you know, a substantial amount of input, and we have a difficult decision to make. As you heard the recommendations of the wastewater committee, and up on the board, the chart is still up there, the range of percentages. You know, one thing to think about is that the majority of the town is not being serviced directly, not getting the betterment. As that number increases, we'll probably hear a lot from those citizens coming out against the project. And if we want to get this project to pass, and I think it's essential that we move forward with this, we have to find some middle ground where we can convince enough of the voters to approve this project. Because in the long haul, this is something we have to do. I'm going to digress a second here. My wife and I own a summer home up in Essex on the water. And a number of years ago, the DEP slapped an injunction against the town of Essex, making mandatory a solution to the pollution that existed up there from septic systems that were in fact polluting the waterway. And the mandate said that over a 7-year period, and they divided the community into sections, 100% of the septic systems in town had to be tested. And the results were a 60% failure rate. Now, you could have a failed system by the rules, and unless it's tested, you may never know it. The only time typically the Board of Health gets on your case is when you have a breakthrough. And as a result of that, the town ended up having to put in a sewer system. And as a result of the urgency and the DEP slapping the injunction, eventually they were able to connect up to the Gloucester sewer system. So, you know, as we go forward, we may run into the situation. It's not something that we think is going to happen today. But, you know, 10 years from now, who knows? We may get slapped with an injunction, maybe not across the whole town, but in those sensitive areas that are affecting the water supply. And we all know that the water supply here in town is critical. We're buying a large percentage of our water from Andover, and we're fortunate that we're able to do that. So you have to think about that aspect of it too. The environmental concerns are a significant part of putting in a sewer system. Yes?
One last comment, Bob, if any of you remember the election where our former governor, Michael Dukakis, was running for the office of presidency. And there's a picture of Judge Garrity, famous Judge Garrity, on the beach in Boston, basically mandating the formation of what is now the Massachusetts Water Resources Authority by court order, because had missed opportunities for 90-10 funding, and basically that was taken out of the control of the state of Massachusetts, and the US EPA and federal courts got involved. And what Bob's talking about is not highly probable, but when it does happen, you lose important control of your own fate and your own system. And this project does give us the opportunity to be in control.
Okay, with that, I'm going to close the public session so that the board can finish up its business before 10 o'clock. Again, I thank you all for coming, and we will schedule additional public hearings on this subject.
Bob, I don't have anything more critical except so nothing timely that I can address the page you've already addressed.
David, have a good night.
Hey, I love you. You said it now.
Arguments and challenges. Yep, exactly. And then 8.6 came out. Yep.
It's not coming right there to tell me anything.
Going
says the boy is coming home, or is that?
I don't know.
I asked them all at the different times. I get different answers.
I know we're having a party from Saturday.
Oh,
Graduation party.
excellent.
Yeah.
You know, Toledo's moving back in the city.
Oh, yeah?
That's what Liam tells me now. So, I don't know. You never know. Things change, right?
Yeah. Man, when you're living on your own, you got the buildings are expensive.
Oh, yeah, they scrape. They scrape to make it.
Exactly.
They scrape to make it. Particularly living in Boston.
I am down a price.
You know.
So you can't have a car in there because, resident parking.
They think Liam pays more in parking tickets than his rent.
Hey, I did too.
Yes.
I had
That's a big part of their revenue.
I had a water in my pocket. And that was before they came up with the booth. I said, I don't pay him. I don't pay him. Never paid him.
Avoiding the booth.
Wow, this is before they came up with the booth.
Yeah.
Then they came up with the booth, and I moved the other part. A million car with the boot on afterwards.
Well, they don't want to vote him to get more money by ticketing.
Yeah, but the thing is, you got a bunch of tickets on there.
You don't pay the tickets, you don't pay the tickets.
Yeah, and then you can pay all the
Or if you go to renew your license.
Yep.
Liam found out that's an unfortunate tale.
Yeah.
Your license.
I wonder if they close the meeting.
There'll be another meeting.
It's kind of close.